How's it going, Io? In this video we're gonna talk about Kim Kardashian shading Kanye, MrBeast injuring fans, and climate activists destroying a Monet painting. Alright, so Kim Kardashian just took a nasty jab at Kanye's appearance while discussing her dating preferences on season 3 of The Kardashians. She revealed her long list of requirements for her next suitor, and she called it her manifest list, which featured all the things she's looking for in her next romantic partner. The list was extensive, and it goes like this. Number 1, protect me. Number 2, fight for me. Number 3, good hygiene. Number 4, calm. 5, no mom or dad issues. 6, patient. 7, supportive, genuinely happy for me, successful, good teeth. And she went on and on. She also said they need to be spontaneous, fun, my friends and family love him, and someone that can be a role model for my kids, especially that my boys can look up to. No heavy baggage, I have enough. She also said they need to be taller than her and someone that loves to work out, a motivated person, an independent person that's not clingy, and someone with good taste. Then once Kim was sat down in a confessional, she added one more thing to the list. She said no balding. As we know, Kanye has always worn a closely shaven head, and he eventually went full bald in April, so it's easy to see why that comment might have come across as shade. Ever since their divorce, Kim has been pretty tight-lipped about her ex-husband, but in season 3 of the show, she finally opened up about what it felt like within their marriage at the moment that it imploded. At the height of his political campaign, she said that she used to run around and call everyone behind his back, trying to reassure them that everything would be alright and they just needed to give him another chance. Kim claimed that she used to spend hours and hours of her days as Kanye's cleanup crew. In her confessional, she admitted that she didn't want to reveal her true feelings about him, all for the sake of their 4 young children, who obviously don't know the full extent of his public behavior. She said, I still feel the need not to talk about it and to protect it from my kids, and I will always feel that way, but God, if people knew. I just would never do that to my kids. She said, I'm the one being accused of so many things and being blamed for so many things, and it's really hurtful and it sucks, but I can control how I react and I can control it. And I can control it if I'm a mess. Then my kids will see that, and I really do believe in my soul that one day my kids will appreciate my silence, my understanding and my grace, and I will try my hardest to keep it together at all times. Looking back, she said one of the most difficult things about their divorce has been watching Kanye change so drastically from the person that she married back in 2014. She said it was the hardest feeling to watch someone you really loved and you have a family with just be so different from the person you knew. Kim hasn't been romantically linked to anyone but Pete Davidson since her split from Kanye. The pair called it quits after only a few months of dating, and ever since then, fans have been eagerly waiting to see who she ends up with next. She hasn't made any big reveals about her love life, but she did drop a few hints about a potential mystery man. She hasn't revealed his identity or shed any real clues about him. In fact, she wouldn't even tell us his first name. Instead, she just referred to him as Fred on an episode of The Kardashians. The only thing that we do know is that he measures up to all of her standards. So in the next couple of weeks, we might find out who this man actually is. If you have any guesses, let me know in the comments below. Now let's talk about the latest MrBeast controversy. The YouTuber is known for his celebrity collabs, giving away a ton of cash, and even hosting wild competitions. But one of those competitions took a turn for the worst, and now several contestants have gotten injured. Jimmy recently bought a plot of land in North Carolina, which was complete with a studio and housing, which served as the perfect spot to create content. He then had this idea to host an Olympic-style challenge with the contestants from countries all around the world. The competition was said to include some sort of running event with hurdles and obstacles, but at some point it became a little too intense and possibly dangerous because several of the athletes ended up getting injured. One of Jimmy's reps addressed the incident, speaking to TMZ. They said MrBeast was working on an upcoming video with athletic challenges, and there were 3 minor medical issues out of almost 200 participants. Medical personnel attended to the people immediately and released them shortly after. While we don't know the exact details of these injuries, apparently the show has resumed filming, which means they've likely fixed the source of the danger. Even though this latest incident sounds like it was relatively drama-free, somehow there is always a controversy coming around with this kind of MrBeast content. Back in January, the YouTuber was accused of exploiting poor people's problems for views in his video where he pays for the surgeries of 1,000 blind people. Jimmy posted an emotional video on YouTube called 1,000 Blind People See for the First Time, where he pays for all these people's cataract removal surgeries. In the beginning of the video, he explains that half of the blindness in the world is actually curable with a relatively simple 10-minute surgery, but sadly for a lot of the world's population, it's unaffordable and inaccessible. The video initially received an overwhelmingly positive and emotional response, but as it continued to circulate around the internet, it eventually drew a heavy amount of criticism. It wasn't long before people started accusing Jimmy of capitalizing on philanthropy and claiming that his video felt performative. Some people people also claim that his thumbnail seemed wrong somehow, considering that it showed him smiling behind a young boy who was obviously made out to be blind. Many people took to Twitter to express their disdain for the whole thing. Apart from that, Jimmy's also been criticized for his personal life and who he associates with. He recently came under fire for daring to support his trans friend and colleague Chris Tyson. When Chris revealed that they are receiving hormone therapy and exploring their gender identity, the hate started pouring in, and many people started pointing fingers at Jimmy because he showed no signs of distancing himself from his friend. The backlash came to a head when a YouTuber named SunnyV2 released a video titled "Why Chris Will Soon Be a Nightmare for MrBeast." In that video, he criticizes their feminine appearance and speculates that it's going to affect the popularity of the MrBeast channel. Sunny labeled them as an over-the-top LGBTQ character simply because they're gender non-conforming. That video racked up more than 2 million views in less than 24 hours, and it caused a ton of controversy. Jimmy actually responded and he tweeted, "Yeah, this is getting absurd. Chris isn't my nightmare, he's my effing friend and things are fine. All this transphobia is starting to piss me off." Of course, all of this negativity hasn't stopped Jimmy from producing his signature content and doing pretty much whatever he wants with his wealth. He's only 25 years old, yet he's the world's richest YouTuber, with an estimated net worth of more than $500 million. Most of his videos are based on extravagant stunts, where he offers lavish gifts to random members of the public. It started pretty small, like giving away cash prizes to members of his community, but it quickly gathered momentum, and by 2018, he was donating $100,000 worth of products to a homeless shelter. He has since given the same amount of money to an Uber driver, a waitress, and random people in parking lots. In one video, he dropped $20,000 out of a drone and gave a pizza man the house that he was delivering to as his tip. One of his most recent projects is called the MrBeast Burger, which is a delivery service that sold more than 1 million burgers before Jimmy had even uploaded a single video about it. He's also launched smartphone apps, started video game tournaments, and landed a deal with Walmart to sell his chocolate bar called Feastables. Jimmy credited his success to innovative thinking and calculated risk-taking. He also has an eye for new opportunities and brand deals, expanding his YouTube empire into the food and drink sector. So regardless of the scandals that might come along, there is really nothing stopping MrBeast from world domination. Alright, now did you know that climate activists were caught destroying a Monet painting? 2 women were detained in Stockholm after they threw some kind of paint at a painting by French artist Claude Monet. They then glued themselves to the frame. The painting is called The Artist's Garden at Givany, and it was on display as a part of an exhibition at the museum. But what happened to the painting? Was it completely destroyed? Well, the museum spokesperson said the artwork was encased in glass and is now being examined by the museum's conservators to see if any damage has occurred. The museum's acting director then released their own statement saying, "We naturally distance ourselves from actions where art or cultural heritage risks being damaged, regardless of the purpose." The whole incident was caught on camera, where you can see the activists smear red paint on the painting before being arrested. One of the women shouted, "The situation is urgent. As a nurse, I refuse to watch. The pandemic was nothing compared to the climate collapse. It's about life or death. People won't just die from heat stroke, new diseases will spread, and we cannot even imagine the extent of this." The spokesperson for their activist group said the museum action was to pressure the Swedish government to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. They said, "We need to do everything possible to draw attention to this climate catastrophe and our demands to restore the wetlands that store large amounts of carbon." But Monet's painting is just the latest to be targeted by climate activists trying to draw attention to global warming. The British group Just Stop Oil threw tomato soup at Vincent van Gogh's sunflowers in London's National Gallery in October. Just Stop Oil activists also glued themselves to the frame of an early copy of Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper at London's Royal Academy of Arts, and to John Constable's The Hay Wain in the National Gallery. Back in November, another famous painting was defaced by climate protesters. This time it wasn't with tomato soup but with mashed potatoes. The activists threw mashed potatoes at a Monet painting in a German museum to protest fossil fuel extraction. In footage from the incident, 2 young people from the group Last Generation approached the painting and threw a thick substance over it, later confirming that the gooey mixture was in fact mashed potatoes. Fortunately, the museum later confirmed that because the painting was enclosed in glass, the mashed potatoes didn't really cause any real damage. The 2 activists were both wearing orange high visibility vests, and they decided to glue themselves to the wall below the painting. The group took to Twitter and wrote, "If it takes a painting with mashed potatoes or tomato soup thrown at it to make society remember that the fossil fuel course is killing us all, then we'll give you mashed potatoes on a painting." But there are some real consequences for these sort of protests, and it turns out that it's not cheap. Over the weekend, a Vatican court in Italy convicted 2 activists of aggravated damage to artwork and ordered them to pay more than $40,000 in restitution. These guys decided to glue their hands to the base of an ancient statue in the Vatican museums. The Locum statue is one of the most important ancient works in the collection that is believed to date back to the 1st century BC. The activists hung up a banner reading "Last Generation, No Gas, No Carbon." As a result of the incident, 2 members of the group also received a 9-month suspended sentence. A third activist on trial with them was fined $150. During the hearing, one of the members explained that they never intended to damage the statue. They only wanted to strongly defend their cause. They felt that they had an obligation to draw attention to Italy's failure to halt global warming. Another member claimed that they brought a glue solvent with them to the protest as a way to unglue their hands, but they were not found to be carrying that with them at the time. The attorney claimed that they knew their protest would damage the artwork, citing their decision to glue their hands to the base and not the statue itself, but they never expressed regret at the damage that was caused. In closing arguments, the lawyer for the Vatican City State accused the defendants of exploiting Pope Francis's known concern for the environmental cause by causing damage to one of the most important ancient works in the collection. So what do you guys think about all these climate activists? Please let me know in the comments below. I'll catch you in the next video.